Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is True Talk with True Motion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen.
Good morning.
Let's get things kicked off. Well, it's been quite a fast week, in my opinion. But how's your week been? I know you had some family in town.
Yeah, I had some family came to visit me. My great aunt and my grandma and my great uncle, they all came to visit me. And they took the train. They took the California Zephyr out here.
I was going to say, where do they live?
They live in Missouri and Illinois.
Okay, what part of Illinois?
Northern Illinois.
All right.
Above the Chicago area.
Well, if you said Missouri, yeah, that makes sense.
And then Marthasville, Missouri, which I don't really know where that's placed, but
yeah, I had my mom's family came from the southern point of Illinois, so it's funny they would consider that the South, but
it's not.
It's really like right in the middle.
It's very much in the middle.
So I don't really get it. Just like Tennessee's considered the South, but geographically it's like right in the middle. So I don't get it.
Interesting.
No.
Yeah, no, they left yesterday, and
then honestly, I would really like to take a train trip like that.
It was an interesting experience from what they've told me.
Yeah. How long did it take? Like 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, 30 hours.
Okay.
But you basically have the whole day to yourself. You get to walk around. You have the observation car.
Yeah.
They have a dining car. If you pay enough money, you can have a little sleeper dorm. So you actually get a bed.
Okay.
You can sleep. And
they just had like the regular. Did they?
They just took the regular coach.
Yeah.
So they just had seats, and they slept in the seats just fine.
I was going to say you could probably just lean back and catch a few Z's.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's interesting. I think that might be something to consider. All the trains do have power outlets, so you can charge all your devices and be completely immersed and just let the train take you where you need to go.
I really would like to go up and down the PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway train. That would be really cool. And go from like, I don't know, LA, San Diego, all the way up to like Canada.
That would be interesting. I'd like that too.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I definitely think we should do that one day.
I'd stay in the train. I wouldn't really want to get out.
No, not in California. It's really funny. I loved California growing up because, like, you were born there too, right? Yeah, we were both born in California. I would go visit my grandparents every summer, and I'd spend like a couple of weeks there. I loved the area. I had really good friends out there. It was getting busy, but it wasn't like crazy busy like it is now. So, but man, I would dare say within the last 10 years or so, or maybe even longer, I just have not. It's way too crowded. It's dirty. It's a little rough in some areas. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and there's a lot of really good people in California.
Most of them listen to the show.
And there's also a lot of really bad people in California.
Those don't listen to the show.
Those don't listen to the show. So, like, to all the good people in California, like, I love you guys. I love going out there. I just went out there in September for the Orange County tournament.
That's right.
And Orange County was really nice. Like, I really like Orange County. LA County, there's parts of it that I like, but majority of it's just, man, it's super crowded and, like I said, dirty. Like Shanna, last year when we went to the LA Rams game versus the Eagles up in LA, I told her, I go, hey, I know you guys don't believe me, but you probably should stay in the hotel. Because we were right next to like Rosecrans Avenue and this other area. It was a little rough, but it was a nice hotel. And she's like, whatever. Well, they decided, like, while I was at the tournament, they decided to go grab some lunch across the street. She's all like, it was the craziest experience ever. She's like, we walked out of the hotel and we walked onto the street, and she's like, instantly we saw feces and needles everywhere. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, they have a really bad homeless drug problem out there. And she goes, ever since then, like I was looking and everybody looked a little aggressive. And she's all like, I did not feel comfortable out there. And I was like, yeah, certain areas, it's like you just don't go. And unfortunately, that was one of them. And ironically enough, that was like the area that I used to love going to. My grandma lived in Hawthorne, and my great grandma lived in Watts.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Right next to Inglewood and
Englewood,
like
yeah.
Crenshaw and all those kind of tougher places that you hear about. And again, like it was in the 90s, and it was fun to me. But yet, like every night you'd hear helicopters and police cars and ambulances and this and that. And my grandma had bars on her window, and my great grandma did. My grandma did not. But I would just, like big metal gated doors. And I was just like,
security doors.
yeah, I was just like, oh, I just thought that was the thing. And then you come here to Utah and it's not that thing. So, yeah, I would really like to go on that Pacific Coast Highway train, but stay on the train. Yeah, very, very much so. But I love the ocean and I love the scenery out there.
Me too. I like the ocean.
Yeah, the ocean's cool. A lot of people are scared of the ocean, interestingly enough. And when you really start to think about what's in the ocean, you really can't blame them.
There's a lot of bodies in the ocean.
Yes, and a lot of things that we don't know about.
Yes. Did you see the new thing that there might be aliens in the ocean?
I have not seen that. I just saw the interview with Elon and Joe. I don't know if it was a recent one, but they were talking about Ocean X. Is that the one that you're talking about?
Something like that. Something's cooking down there.
Yeah, where all of the oceans have canals that go into down in towards the center of the earth. And there's another ocean underneath towards the center of the earth. And that's where like all the prehistoric sea creatures live.
Whoa.
Like the Megalodon, the Mosasaurus. And he listed off like 10 of them.
Yeah.
He goes, that's where they live. And I'm just like, holy crap. All right. Which, interestingly
There's so
enough,
much we don't know about the oceans. That's what's
you could call that a quote unquote like
curiosity, but also the fear.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't know what's underneath you.
No.
Yeah.
Like I jumped into the Mediterranean Sea.
But you can see.
No, I saw a little bit, but it was still pretty deep.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, what's underneath me?
Yeah, but you can, for the most part, you can kind of see a little bit. Like you can see like 2 feet into the water.
Yeah, you can see that.
Pacific Ocean, you can't.
No, that's murky.
You can see like 6 inches into the
That's
water.
cold too.
It is cold. Yeah. No, I remember the first time I went to the Caribbean Ocean in the Caribbean islands. We were at this island that the cruise liner owns. It's called Half Moon Cay. Oh my gosh, that was such a beautiful island. I remember getting into the water and getting like waist deep and seeing my feet. And I'm like, I have never seen my feet in the ocean before, because I was always going to the Pacific.
Yeah.
And it's like, you walk out to knee-deep water, you can't see underneath you, and you have no idea what's underneath you.
No.
Here, like, you can see everything around you. And it was warm. I was like, this water's warm. I've never gone into
natural reasons.
Yeah, I've never gone into warm water like that before. It really threw me off guard. I'm assuming the Mediterranean's kind of the same way.
Nice, yeah. The same thing happened. I could wade out and I could see all the way down.
Yep.
Granted, I kicked up a bunch of sand, but on the Isle of Lemnos, it was very calm. It was sort of like almost a lagoon in a way, but it was a bay and it was a beach that curved the whole way. And since it was the off season, there was nobody on the beach.
There you go.
So I walked out, and there was these little fish that will come up and nibble at you.
Oh.
They'll look for scabs and things, and they'll try to clean them.
Oh, those fish are
Those
out there.
fish are out there, yeah.
That's a really cool thing. I've actually done that.
You've done that?
Yes, there's a place in Layton called SeaQuest. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's borderline like a zoo. Okay, so you hear SeaQuest, you just think sea life.
Yep.
No, they got pigs and snakes and chickens and all sorts of like animals there, and you can walk through it And some of them are free roaming. Like
Really?
they just wander around. Like
Really?
the chickens, they just wander around.
Wow.
They have an area, but if they get out, they just let them.
Chickens don't like staying in one area.
Exactly. They let them wander around. So there's certain animals that just wander around, and you're like, what the hell? Like,
why is there a chicken here?
exactly. Like you should be in there, and a chicken's wandering around right next to a reptile like snake exhibit. But that was enclosed. They don't let snakes wander around. But yeah, we went there during COVID actually.
Really?
And we had to schedule a time, or not necessarily schedule a time. We booked a area where you could go into the monkey exhibit.
Oh, wow.
And the monkeys would jump on you, and like you could like hold them, and if they came near you and stuff like that. That was really cool. And one of the areas when you started getting to the sea life areas, they had those fish in a open aquarium where you could put your hands in. So they encourage you to put your hands in the water, and the fish, like all these fish would come up and they'd like nibble, like they wouldn't nibble because they didn't have any teeth, but they would suck on your hands and they would take all the dead skin cells off of your hands.
Wow.
My hands, like I did it because I don't really care. Like everybody else in my family's like, oh my God, I can't do it. And they like a fish touch them, like, and they freak out. But I stuck my hands in there and I kept them in there for like 5 minutes. My hands came out. They felt awesome.
They're probably so pink.
Oh, no, actually they weren't.
Really?
Yeah, they just felt the smoothest I've ever had them ever.
Wow.
And there's also a paid exhibit area where you could get your feet done that way.
Nice.
Where they have a seat and then you stick your feet in the tank and the fish come up and they gave you like a fish pedicure essentially. It's really cool. So if you've never been to SeaQuest, definitely 5-star, high recommend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good service.
It's in a mall.
It's in a mall?
It's in a mall.
Now that's crazy.
The fact that it's in a mall and it's like a zoo makes it even cooler.
Chickens, pigs, snakes, these fish.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, yeah, next to it there's the H&M store.
Kind of, yeah. It's in the upstairs level of the Layton Hills Mall.
Okay.
It's pretty neat. It's really neat. So if you're looking for something interesting to do,
and you're in Layton,
or if you're not in Layton, it's worth.
You're willing to drive to Layton.
It's worth the drive. Yeah, it's about a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
So it's funny because we think 45 minutes is a long drive. Not really. Not like in California, 45 minutes gets you 10 blocks.
10 blocks, yeah.
Yeah. At least here in Utah, 45 minutes gets like 40 miles away.
Yeah, impressive distance.
Yeah. But no, it was a good week so far in the dojo. We've got our Thanksgiving sale starting up next week. I've already been getting some people on it, so should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see who's going to sign up for what events, and yeah, just a chance to save some people money and give them the best experience possible. So, and tonight we've got the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Who you got?
When we're filming this evening.
Yeah,
the big fight's happening
tonight. This will come out after the fight, but
yes,
I think Tyson is going to destroy him. I'm putting it on record.
Yeah, you're putting it on record. Okay.
Yeah, I have unless it's rigged, I have a feeling Jake Paul is going to get knocked out.
I feel like that's a very likely outcome.
Yeah. Here's the truth. I personally don't have anything against Jake Paul. A lot of people hate him, which is fine. I think he's smart. He is very smart. The fact that he is in this position should tell you how smart he is, to be quite honest with you. Because he was basically a YouTube sensation, right?
Right.
So going from a YouTube sensation to one of probably the biggest boxing draw, definitely of the year. Man, you can't deny that he's doing something right.
Right.
He's playing the villain to a T.
That's right.
He's making people hate him, and when people hate you, they follow you, especially in the social societal area.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like the Kardashians. I mean, you either love the Kardashians or you hate them.
But you still know who they are.
You still know who they are. Exactly. Same thing with the Paul brothers, Logan and Jake. I personally have nothing against them, and people just absolutely hate them. But they're laughing their way all the way to the bank.
That's right.
So keep hating them, people.
That's right.
Do I think he's a talented fighter? I actually do think he's a decent boxer.
I've heard good things.
He does show some talent, and they show when he first started to where he's at now, and you definitely can tell he's put the work in. So do I think it's going to be like a cakewalk? Not necessarily, but I don't think Jake Paul's ever fought anybody with this level of power, even at 58.
Yeah. No, Iron Mike Tyson's got a lot of power, a lot of aggression. He's, you besmirch him or hit him the wrong way.
Oh,
and he's gonna unload.
Did you see the face to face last night?
Yeah,
where he slapped him.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he slapped him. So they did the weigh-ins.
Yeah,
and Jake did this whole like crawl up and then popped right in Tyson's face, and Tyson slapped him right away. Pow! Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Tyson's going to win, is when you look at Tyson right now, he's not joking.
No.
Jake Paul is still kind of like got that kid. I mean, he's kind of got that personality anyways, where it's like the happy-go-lucky, like, kind of I'm playing dumb, but I'm probably the smartest one in the room. That's what he's doing. But Tyson's, you look at him, and he's dialed in. He's almost like the old scary Tyson, where it was like he just got out of prison and he's like, I'm ready to kill somebody. That's how he looks. And that's where I'm like, ooh, I don't think Jake really knows what he's getting into. Because Tyson would always talk about how when he was fighting, he would have to go to a dark place.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons he stopped fighting, is he didn't like going to those dark places anymore. Yeah. Oof. Jake Paul, may God have mercy on your soul. I just hope he doesn't get seriously hurt, for reals.
I don't think that's...
But I think Tyson's going to catch him with the left hook, and the lights are going to go out. Absolutely. I've been watching his training videos. The dude can hit still like a ton of bricks. It's like, oh my gosh. And he's still fast. So fast. At almost 60 years old, people are still, I would not get in the ring with them. They're like, hey, do you want to spar with Tyson? I'm like, no, I'll watch Tyson spar. I could have all the headgear and padding on in the world, and I still would not want to spar him. I would wake up on the floor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see who wins out of that fight. Then tomorrow we've got the UFC, John Jones versus Stipe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't quite know what I think about John Jones anymore. Is he a talented fighter? Yeah. But I think he's dodging people. Stipe is a good fighter. He's considered one of the most decorated heavyweight of all time. But again, he's old too, and he hasn't fought in like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's like, I think John Jones is dodging Tom Aspinall and Alex Pineda. Alex Pineda is another, like,
he's a beast.
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, he's an animal. So we'll see how those fights go this weekend.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Put your predictions in the comments below.
Yeah, who do you think
actually
you
put
got?
the results in the comments below?
Yeah, put the results in the comments below.
By the time we all
were we
get this
right? Say
published.
yes or no. You were right or you were wrong. But all right, moving on from a word from our sponsor.
Style winter sensation. Gear up now before cold's domination. Feeling frosty, don't freeze in your stance. Slip on our sweaters, give winter no chance. Hoodies to supplements, cold's got no shot. Our merch keeps you moving, your karate hot. Stay sharp, stay cool, like a roundhouse kick. In true motion, gear you're warm and slick. Break ice, break boards, make an impression. Our holiday merch is your new obsession. True motion's got your back, so don't delay. Shop now online, sweep the chill away. Stay sharp, stay cool, like a roundhouse kick. In true motion, gear you're warm and slick. Chill moves, cool vibes, true motion's the way. Gear up for winter by today. today.
Thank you, sponsor. And moving on to our this week's top 5 list. All right, this week's top 5 is an interesting one. I don't think we've done it, but we're going to do it again anyways. It's top 5 wild animals. Animals meaning like animals you can't have as pets.
I see.
Okay. Nor probably would you want them as pets.
Right.
So, because they could wake up in a bad mood and rip your face off. Or at least my list would. So I'll go with my list because I'll give you a second to kind of think about yours because I just kind of sprung this on you like an hour ago.
That's fine.
My top 5 in no particular order are bears and like all encompassing.
All encompassing bears.
Yeah, like all the way from your polar bears to your panda bears.
You know what they say.
So
If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, goodbye.
yeah, just you're toast. So
Panda bears.
but
too,
if it's
huh?
black and white, get ready to cuddle.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna have to help it eat. and
Yeah,
help it-
exactly.
Yeah.
Have you watched those like
They're helpless.
How Are They Not Extinct
Yeah.
Yet? They are the funniest videos to watch
Yeah.
because I didn't know they rolled. Like I watched Kung Fu Panda when he went to the 3, it was 3, and they started rolling down the hills. Pandas really do that.
Pandas do that.
I didn't know that until I started seeing videos. I was like, oh my God, they actually do roll down the hills. Yeah, and they
It's
climb
just-
up on trees and
so-
then fall out of them.
Poorly coordinated.
Yeah,
Whatnot. It's like we have to help them reproduce as a species
yeah,
because they would be extinct.
yeah. God bless pandas.
It's a good thing they're adorable.
Yeah, this is true. All right, my second are gorillas. I really like gorillas. I
Okay.
think they're cool animals. And we had that big discussion a couple weeks ago. It's like, how did they get to be so
Yeah,
big
we actually looked that up.
when they don't eat
Yeah,
meat,
they're
meat
mostly-
proteins?
Mostly herbivores.
Yeah, and they derive their protein through a digestive process.
Yeah, they have specific bacteria that gives them protein from plants.
From plant life. So, because I was like, there's no
Plus
physical
they eat
way.
60 pounds of plants a day.
Yeah, my God,
That's a lot of salad.
yeah, that is a lot of salad. I eat like a bowl, and I'm like,
This is
okay,
enough for the
that's
week,
enough for
thank
the
you.
week. Like, would you like some salad with your steak? No,
Oh, do you have fries?
I'll take fries. I'm also a big fan of like big like constrictor snakes.
Big constrictor snakes. Huh?
Yeah.
Going for
Would I want to own one? No,
Oh,
never.
never?
But I think they're fascinating creatures. Something, and again, like they can get like 20 plus feet long, and you could still never see them. Like, how could something be that long and that heavy, and you don't see it?
quiet.
And they're very quiet. Yeah. So I like in that aspect, like I'm very fascinated by them. Like, again, would I want to own one as a pet? No, because it could literally eat me. And I don't want to wake up one day getting like sucked into a snake's stomach.
Yeah.
So I heard a story of a lady that owned a like one of these big, like a python or reticulated boa or reticulated python or a boa constrictor. And it would sleep in bed with her.
No way.
Yeah, it would sleep in bed with her, and it would sleep like the length of the lady.
Wow.
And it would do this for like weeks, and it would, in months.
It's using
and
her as a heat source.
Not only that, it was measuring how big it needs to get to eat her. Yeah. Because she told the vet that, and the vet goes, "Get the snake out of your bed immediately." And she goes, "Why?" He's like, "It's testing to see if you're a food source.
It's trying to see if it can.
If you're too big, it won't eat you. But eventually,
It will get bigger.
it'll get bigger than you, and it will try to eat you." I was like, "Holy crap! Okay." Granted, I don't know why you'd want to sleep in bed with a
No,
snake,
why?
anyways. That's just creepy. I like tigers. Tigers are cool.
Okay. Just tigers or more big cats or
Just tigers.
Just
Lions are
tigers?
all right, but I like
Lions are kinda
tigers
goofy.
more.
Yeah.
Lions are interesting, but they're more of a. It's interesting because tigers are very independent cats, versus lions are more social cats, and they have like their hierarchy and their, this and that. So Lions are cool, but I think tigers are a little bit more fascinating. Tigers, it's like, man, it could be a foot away from you in the jungle and you would never know it.
Yeah.
Lions, they just kind of like sit out there and be like, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. It was cool. Side note story. A couple of years ago, we went to Zoo Lights. My family took my parents to Zoo Lights. And we get in, and we're just kind of standing around. It's nighttime. And we hear this roaring sound. And I was like, oh, that's cool. They're like creating this ambiance through the
making
speakers.
Sound effects.
Yeah, and if you've ever been to Hogle Zoo, when you go in the entrance, maybe about, I don't know, a quarter mile away is the African lion exhibit. And we could hear it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like they're pumping these sounds through the speakers. The closer we got to the lion exhibit, the louder it got.
No way.
It was on top of its enclosure on the rocks, roaring. And it was the loudest, deepest thing I've ever heard out of an animal. And it was like the coolest thing and the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. I bet it gave you some chills.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, if that thing was in the wild and I heard that,
it's like you're already dead.
Like I either better be surrounded by like armor or I better have a big gun, like, because I'm on the menu. And it was fascinating because it's like, dang, something like that could make a sound that loud and that like intimidating and like cool sounding, and it was like just like, holy crap, that was really neat. So and then I got eagles for multiple reasons. One, it's my favorite team, and two, it's patriotic, and they're just like, they're cool birds.
Yeah,
they look majestic, they're big. Have you seen the talons on an eagle?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've seen videos of eagles swooping down and grabbing like coyotes and sheep, picking them up and dropping them off a cliff.
That's how they kill them.
And you're just like, what? Yeah. Way crazy.
They let gravity do the work.
Then I got wolves as an honorable mention.
Wolves is an honorable mention, huh?
Yeah, I saw a fascinating story about wolves. They're one of the only creatures that really aren't trainable.
Really?
Like, you never see wolves in the zoo, or not necessarily the zoo, like the circus. You never see wolves in the circus. Wolves never perform anything.
They don't perform.
No, you know how like
they've seen their dog ancestors that get enslaved by humans. Okay?
Yeah,
we will never
domesticated.
sit.
Yeah,
we will never shake.
Yeah, or like you go to the zoo and you see these tigers and bears, and they're like performing tricks. You never see wolves doing that.
They're too stoic. They're like, we're not going to debase ourselves.
No,
for your entertainment.
Then they're very much pack first. They do things to help the herd and the pack. And if they find a mate, they have that mate for life.
Wow.
And if the male mate dies, the female mate mourns. And she could mourn up for a month to up to a year.
Wow.
And never take on another mate.
Wow.
And I was all like, that's interesting. So I heard that and I was like, dang, I wasn't a huge fan of wolves at first, but now I kind of am.
Yeah.
Plus, if you watch Game of Thrones, you know, the dire wolves.
Dire wolves are pretty cool.
Yeah, those are pretty neat. And werewolves.
Werewolves.
Yeah. So, but what do you got for your top five?
My top five of animals that
would
are
not
cool,
be pets,
but I can't have them as pets. I'm gonna have to go with big cats as probably up there in my top five in no particular order. Again, I think along the same reasons as you, tigers are pretty amazing. But as well as like cheetahs, leopards, and panthers too. They're all just so distinct.
Jaguars.
Jaguars, yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of interesting videos of leopards.
The tree cats, right?
Yeah, they jump off of high embankments into the water and they eat alligators and crocodiles. You're like,
and
what?
you know alligators and crocodiles are like the perfect predator because they have never evolved. They've been the same forever.
They're the same things since they've been created.
So the fact that these leopards are getting bold, and they're sniping alligators and crocs from their home turf.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
I think that's way cool.
Funny enough, on my list is also crocodiles. I think
You know what? I agree. They were close to being on my list too, but
just because it's like that you can be standing on a riverbank and the croc could be right there and you wouldn't know.
no idea.
Especially if it's not, if it's muddy. It's like,
Yeah.
then they'll just run up and get you.
You've obviously seen countless videos where they're like, hey, there's a croc in that water. And they're like, whatever. And then they throw something and it hits the bank. It like jumps out at you. And you're just like, what?
Yeah. And they
Holy
can get
crap.
big.
Yeah.
They have like that fish biology that a fish will keep growing as long as it has the room to grow.
Yeah. Alligators are the same way.
They're the same way.
I saw a couple of marine biologists were in Florida and they were trying to find the big alligators and crocodiles.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, the Everglades has both.
Mm-hmm.
We should only have alligators, but we have crocodiles too. They ended up finding one that was about 20 feet long.
That's huge.
They have some in the Indian Ocean that are almost 30 feet long. And you're just like, what?
Wow.
30 feet. That's like from we're sitting to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
A crocodile.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think they're fascinating creatures also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next on my list are wolverines.
Okay.
Because they're just like one of the most tenacious. I think they're related to the honey badger or something.
Yeah.
But they will fight off things that are much bigger than them.
Yeah.
And they're very territorial. So it's like you'll never be able to get one.
I got a story that we're going to talk about later about badgers.
About badgers?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Next is going to be sharks.
That almost made my list too.
As much as we talk about how much I'm afraid of them.
I would definitely hop in a cage and see one in the water. Yeah, not the ocean.
So I went to the Seattle Aquarium, and that has the glass tube that you can walk through. Man, it was so cool.
Yeah.
Having fish like all around you, and then you get to the shark pen,
Uh-huh.
and they're just sharks everywhere, and they're like watching you, and you're able to just you kind of want to walk through. It was such a cool experience to walk through like the tube,
Yeah.
and like have the fish all around you. So definitely sharks are on the list. Next, I think I'm gonna go wolves on my list.
Yeah.
I like wolves a lot. I like their dog ancestors.
Yeah.
So I think those are pretty cool. But I didn't know what you said about. I didn't know that they are untrainable. They're like they're very much like
they
this
can
is the
become
way.
friendly with you,
Mm-hmm.
but they are their own being.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like you've seen people get friendly with wolves, and the wolves allow them to
the wolves allow you.
come around and like pet him and all that stuff. But people don't train them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I knew some of the stuff about their social hierarchy. Next on my list are going to be chimpanzees.
Yeah.
Funny, I think it was capuchin monkeys, but a whole bunch of them escaped a Florida lab this week,
Really?
and they're in the Everglades now.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Planet of the Apes.
And it was funny because one of them figured out how to unlock and slipped out. Then the rest of them
Seriously?
watched him, and they did the same thing. So like 40 of them escaped. I don't know if they've been caught yet.
Okay, I think apes are fascinating because gorillas,
Yeah.
gorillas are part of the great ape family. I think they're fascinating creatures.
Yeah.
They are way smarter than we give them credit for. And that's scary.
Yeah.
Because they
pretty
are
scary.
way stronger
Mm-hmm.
than humans could ever be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen some pictures and videos of chimpanzees, like full-grown adult chimpanzees,
Mm-hmm.
walking around. You're like, that is the most jacked up person I have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
They've got big arms and chests, and they've got veins popping out. You're like, holy crap! They're like bodybuilders.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, and you can tell they're thinking.
Yeah.
You're like,
They're taking in, they're observing, and
they're trying to learn.
They're trying to learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting story. You could tell I watched the news a lot this week because I had my older relatives here, and that's all they watched.
That's true. That is true.
So I'm all caught up to date on current events.
What news channel do they watch?
All of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they
Mostly
like
Fox.
a Fox family,
Mostly
or are they a
Fox.
CNN?
Mostly Fox.
I actually heard that CNN's going to be doing some massive layoffs
Yeah.
because their ratings keep tanking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, this
interesting.
was to get political on a non-political show. This was the least watched previous election
Really?
for mainstream news because everybody.
mainstream news.
Yeah,
Yes.
because everybody watched on like their podcast shows or like their YouTube shows.
Yeah,
or
people
like
were streaming
Their
live.
host or their streamers. Mm-hmm. Like, because everyone was streaming it,
Yeah.
and so it's like, why would I go to these mainstream
News outlets. Yeah.
outlets when it's like my preferred hosts are somewhere else?
Exactly, that's very true. Yeah, a lot of media is going towards the influencers and podcast and Instagram and I should say social media as opposed to your traditional TV.
Yep, I think that's just like the end of the curve because first we had all of our primetime shows. They left traditional TV and now they're stream only.
Yeah.
Or you have to buy a subscription to see it on your TV. And now it's like, oh, so now like the practical, which I'm putting in air quotes, practical news shows are following suit because no one's like watching regular TV.
That's true.
So it's interesting.
That's very true.
I don't know if that was 5. I've got cats, crocs,
Wolves, sharks,
and apes,
Chimps.
and wolverines.
Wolverines.
Yep. I got a bunch.
There you go.
Yep.
I
bunch.
like animals. I love wildlife and all that stuff. I think it's very fascinating.
Surprised you didn't put Bigfoot on your list.
Well, don't worry. We're going to talk about him too.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
What
we
a
got
show.
we got some good stories.
What a show today.
Yeah. Moving on to, speaking of our next section, it's the Ask a Sensei. All right, this week, got some really good questions.
Okay.
Well, fun ones. I mean, nothing like, super mind deep conversations.
Okay.
But a lot of just fun conversations. First question is, are you a dog or a cat person, and why?
Well, that's an easy one. I'm a dog person.
Okay, why?
Because I like dogs and I'm less allergic to them than I am with cats.
Oh, fair enough. Well, now let's say you weren't allergic to cats. Would you like cats? Because you
I
got
would
big
like
cats.
cats.
You got big cats on your list.
I've got big cats on my list. I also have big dogs on my list.
That's true.
I would like that. I was using the perfect world scenario.
Yeah.
I wasn't allergic to cats. To any cats. I do like cats. I think they're very unique. Like every cat thinks that they're the cat.
Yeah.
Like dogs, they're a part of a pack. They know
Yep.
where you stand. They know where they stand. They're
Yeah.
like, sometimes I'm gonna get you. Sometimes you're gonna yell at me, and I'll sit and I'll
Yep.
do my things. But cats are like, I'm gonna do what I want, and you can't tell me shit about it.
Yep. Exactly.
And so, you just need to put out the food and give me the little sandbox.
Listen, peasant.
Yeah.
I'm ready to
Cats
eat.
cats are royalty.
That's why the Egyptians loved them.
That's right. That's right. So in Greece, there's tons of cats.
Really?
Yeah, they just let them roam free and they feed them.
Oh.
And it's
wow.
like they take care of all the rodents. There's no rodents.
It's true.
It's pretty clean.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, with lots of cats, there's no mice.
That's right.
So
And rodents are destructive. Cats will
yeah,
just,
they just clean it up.
yeah. So I
So
don't
I
know.
guess
I think
cats are good for something.
cats are useful. Cats
Yeah.
are useful, but like at the same time, it's like cats do their own thing.
Cats are kind of assholes.
They're assholes.
Yeah.
Dogs are very nice.
Yeah.
Like you can have bad dogs, you can have good dogs.
Yes. It's how you treat them.
It's how you treat them.
It's just like people.
yes.
There's good people and bad people, but if you treat bad people well, they'll end up behaving very well.
Cats are like our earlier talk of wolves, where it's like they'll accept you if you feed them.
Yeah.
And they'll like let you pet them if they're happy.
Yeah,
Dogs
Yeah.
are always happy.
exactly. So obviously, I'm a dog person as well. I like dogs. Again, I've got nothing really against cats, but I agree with you. Cats walk around with this sense of entitlement
Yeah.
that just drives
You
me
just wanna kick
crazy.
'em.
Yeah, this prance around.
Don't you flick your tail at me?
Yep, they walk on counters and they look at you and there's something on the counter and you're like, don't touch it. And they're like, they put their paw out
Don't touch it.
and then they put it on the glass and they're like, don't you do it. And then they look at you while they hit it off.
Yep.
And you're like, that son of a bitch. I'm going to freaking kill you. And then you go to get it and it's like, "Nee," and it runs away. So, yeah, cats are jerks. But I'm not saying that like I would be cruel
No, don't
to
be
a
cruel
cat.
to 'em.
But like I do like big cats. Like
Me too.
You know, like those lions, tigers, jaguars, panther. Like those are some fascinating creatures. And they're strong and they're stealthy and I think they're really interesting. But like house cats, not a huge fan of house cats. But like you said, cats do take care of rodents and they do have purposes in some instances. Like if I owned a farm, I would own cats. I would have them live in the barn or have them roam around in the barn or around the fields and this and that. Cats do serve a purpose. But at the same time, I've had both dogs and cats. And when I come home, the cat never greets me at the door.
Cat doesn't care.
No, the cat's like, "Oh, you're here?
I'm expecting some food at the usual
Okay."
time.
And then okay, so I'm not comparing women to cats, but have you ever been around just one of those snooty women and they like roll their eyes when you talk to them and then they walk away? That's what cats do. And you're just like, I was telling you something important that meant a lot to me and you rolled your eyes and walked off. Oh, no. What is wrong with you?
Oh,
Now,
no.
ladies out there, I'm not saying that all of you guys do that, but men do that too. Just that, I should say, that person that rolls their eyes at you and then walks away, that they think, "Oh, my time isn't worth this. I'm leaving." And then they just wander off like you don't even matter. Dogs, man, they are the most excited to see you when you get home. You could be gone for 10 minutes. You get home and you're like, you've been gone forever. Where have you been? Where's my human? And they look after you and they care about you. Okay.
Now, I do have dogs that do weigh their options. Like,
yes.
I could be sitting on the couch with no treats, and someone else could be in the kitchen, and they're like, "There are more treats in the kitchen. I'm going to go over there."
Dogs will definitely go where the food is.
Yes, that's right.
And they also know who feeds them.
That's also true. They know who the weakest link is.
Yes. They'll be like, "I'm going to bother you because I know if I pester you enough, you're going to give me treats."
That's right.
Yeah.
The dogs are smart enough to do that.
Yes, they are very intelligent creatures and they're very empathetic. Like Ginger, my lab that passed earlier this year, she was the most amazing dog in knowing when you were having a bad day. It was amazing. She would have been a perfect like therapy dog. Because I remember numerous times someone in the house was having a bad day. I remember Maya one time, she had a bad day at school. And she came home and she was kind of crying. Ginger just walked up to her, laid her head in her lap and just let her pet her. And Maya cried more, obviously. And I just remember if I was not like firing on all cylinders and I was just kind of having an off day, she would just come up and lay her head on me and you're just like, "Oh, now I feel really better." And you didn't even do anything. You just laid your head on me and you're like, "I know it's going to be okay. We'll get through this together." And she would actually warn Shanna when I was going through my time where I was having night seizures.
Oh, wow.
She would warn Shanna before I had one. She would recognize that something was going to happen because she would lay right next to me. At that time, she would lay right next to me. She would recognize something was going to happen. She'd wake up, she'd jump off the bed, and she would poke Shanna with her nose until Shanna woke up. And then when Shanna woke up, I was like either right in the middle of having one or coming down from having one. But she would warn her before I had one. And nobody trained her to do that. She just started to recognize that something bad was going to happen. So she was an amazing dog. And she kind of passed those traits down onto Thor. Because Thor, he really protects Jamin. Like, he spends a lot of time with Jamin, and he'll just lay on Jamin and let Jamin pet him or lay on him, and a lot of times, like when we leave, we'll open up Jamin's door so he can go in.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes he'll just lay in front of Jamin's door is like, hey, you got to get through me to get to him. Or he'll sit and stare out the door and just like be on guard for him. It's a very precious thing to see. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely a dog person. I heard a funny story of okay, so it's kind of a joke, but it really is a joke. He goes, if you ever want to know who loves you more, lock your wife and your dog in the same room for a day, and then when you open it, see who's happy to see you. And I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, but it's true. I mean, dogs, no matter what you do or where they're at, when you come home, they're excited to see you.
That's right.
And we can all take cues from that and be like, that's how we need to be when we come home and see our families or the people we care about.
Or when someone comes into the dojo, you know?
Or when someone comes in the dojo, you're like, oh my God, people, I'm so excited to see you. How are you? Or like people that have been coming in for years. It's like, oh my God, I saw you on Tuesday, but you're here today. Oh, I'm so glad you came in. And, like just be excited to see people when they come in and share your space.
Yes.
So, yeah, I agree. Those are good ones.
That.
But let us know if you're a dog or a cat person and why. Again, I've got nothing against cat people, but dog people are cooler. So, all right, this is where we're going to talk about something. One of the things.
Here we go.
It is, what is your favorite conspiracy theory?
What?
Yeah.
Man,
mine's Bigfoot.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
I don't really think it's a conspiracy theory, but a lot of people don't necessarily think that Bigfoot's out there. I personally think Bigfoot's out there. The fact that we are going to say that we have no way to be like, well, we can't identify it. There's plenty of creatures out there living on this planet that we don't know that are living on this planet.
For sure.
So to say that there's no such thing as Bigfoot, that's kind of silly.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. No, my favorite is along the same lines.
Yeah.
Mine's the Mothman.
Okay.
Yeah.
From West
Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, I forget the dates, but it was last century. There would be sightings of this 7-foot tall person with red eyes.
Yeah.
And had wings, and would like you'd have the same exposure like if you were looking at the sun. When you're looking at the Mothman and whatnot. And some people equate that the collapse of the Silver Bridge or whatever was because of the Mothman there.
Okay, yeah,
Or the Mothman was trying to warn them of the bridge.
Yeah, they did a movie about that.
Yes,
yeah.
I had an audiobook I read.
Okay.
I think
I think Kevin Costner was in that movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was called The Mothman Project.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's my favorite conspiracy. Okay. Just because it's like it's so out there.
Yeah, Well, I mean, who knows? I mean,
who knows? Like you said.
Yeah.
There's so many things we don't know.
Exactly. That's where I'm just like, when people are like, "Oh, Bigfoot's silly." Like, is it?
Yeah.
Is it silly?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, then why do we have Indian drawings of it?
Exactly.
And then why do like other ancient civilizations have their version of some sort of large ape creature? I mean, we did have one at one point.
That's right.
It was called Gigantopithecus. So 10-foot tall large ape. Good Lord, would you imagine running into one of those?
I probably wouldn't want to ever.
I shouldn't say running into. Seeing one of those.
Seeing one of those would be interesting.
Yeah.
From a
but like
distance
getting
in a
close to one,
helicopter.
no.
No.
Not at all. No, thank you. Even like some of the like Bigfoot videos or sounds or things are kind of terrifying.
You need to look up after the show what they think a T-Rex actually sounded like. It's very
okay.
It's very
Oh, I think I've heard that.
It's different than what
it's
Jurassic.
Very low. Yeah. It's a low rumble, right?
Yeah. Because they're according to the diaphragm, and all that sciencey stuff.
I saw a video of what we think the T-Rex sounds like from the movies, the sound that it actually is coming from, and it's a bird, I think. But I can't remember what bird it's from. But yeah, you're just like, I don't see that out of that creature. I see that out of T-Rex.
Right.
So yeah, no, I think I've seen that where it's a very low rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've seen videos of like you hear like the knocking sounds and then like wild, crazy whistles and rocks being thrown at you, and it's like, okay, what is throwing rocks?
Right.
Like the fact that it's able to like grab something and then hurl it tells you that it's got some sort of like opposable thumb appendage, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got arms.
Right.
And the fact that it's learned how to throw things. Yeah, it just makes me feel like there's more to it than we realize. There's a crazy, I think I've told you about it, there's a crazy Bigfoot movie called Primal Rage. Where
Yeah, you told
Bigfoot
me about
fashions
this.
armor out of
He
tree
builds
bark.
armor, yeah.
Yeah, and he builds weapons.
Whoa.
Like a bow and arrow and axes and knives.
That's huge.
Yeah, you're just like, ooh, that's scary. So I asked Shanna this question. Hers is the JFK stuff.
You know,
Yeah,
there's conspiracies and then there's just alternate history.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We'll find out. We say that they're going to release the JFK files, so we'll see.
I'm very excited for a lot of the things that are going to be released soon,
Yeah.
especially like our talk about the aliens and whatnot. They're
Yeah, exactly.
and the communication that has apparently been passed back and forth.
But let us know what your favorite conspiracy is.
Put your favorite truths in the comments below.
Yeah, exactly. Or your
What do you
conspiracy
believe?
facts.
Conspiracy facts.
There you go. All right, the last question is, what is your and then it got worse story, or do you even have one?
Oh man. Go ahead. You go first.
Okay, mine. Okay, I used to work with a guy named Keith Horton. Keith, if you're ever listening to this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He was a great guy. I love that man to death. He kind of got me into the whole outdoorsy thing. So he got me into fishing and the hunting and firearms and all that stuff. And we would go fishing after work sometimes. So it was on a Friday. He's like, "Hey, let's go fishing on Friday after work." I was like, "Okay." And this was like right out of high school and all that stuff. So I was like, "Okay, sure." And we were just going to go to like Mill Creek or just some place where you literally can like park the car, get out, and throw the line into the water.
Okay.
So that's what we were thinking about doing. So we're driving, and then he goes, "Well, do you have to be anywhere in a specific time?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Well, do you want to go try to catch big fish?" And so obviously you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, let's go to Strawberry. Let's go to Strawberry Reservoir. It's about another hour and a half away." So I was like, "Okay, sure, let's go to Strawberry. I've never been there." I was like, "All right, let's go." So we drive, we get there, we drive around the lake. We don't go to the normal port part.
Of course not. You were looking for the big fish.
Exactly. So we went to this place called Renegade Point, and it's basically like a peninsula out into the lake. So we parked there. Granted, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and tennis shoes. Luckily, I was wearing tennis shoes. So I'm not like dressed in any sort of like hiking or camping gear or nothing like that. So I was like, okay, we brought a cooler. I was like, "Hey, since you drove all the way out here, I'll carry the cooler out there." And it was probably like a half a mile to 3/4 of a mile hike to the point. So I was like, "I'll carry it out there." Well, that sucker was full and heavy. So that was my first mistake.
Oops.
Because I was thinking, oh, it won't be too bad. Because again, you're looking at it and it doesn't look very far.
Right.
But then when you're walking, you're like, damn, this is really far. And there was no path. It was all basically for the first like half a mile was all stingy meadows. And stingy meadows are this like flower weed plant that has sharp barbs and stingers on it.
Wow. I wonder why.
Yeah, go figure. And we're walking through it, and my
you've got
legs,
shorts.
I've got shorts on, and my legs are just getting tore up. Like they're bleeding, they're scratched, they're just irritated. It's awful. It's awful. And we're walking out there. We finally get to the edge. We're like, okay, let's set up. So I'm stringing my line, this and that. And all of a sudden, my fishing pole gets stuck on something, and the tip breaks.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, son of a... Okay, but I can still use it. I can still throw the line out there. It just doesn't cast very well. so I can't throw it like way far out there. But we start fishing. We throw some lines in the water, and Keith looks at me and goes, "Dang, I should have brought my gun." And I was all,
What?
"For what?" I go, "We're fishing. What are you going to do? Shoot a fish?" I go, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And he goes, "No, man, there's badgers out here." I was like, "Shut up."
Oh, what?
I go, "I don't want to hear it. Like, I'm not in the mood. I'm kind of grumpy. My legs hurt. I just broke my fishing pole. Like,
Don't make jokes.
shut up. Like, I'm not in the mood. Yeah,
Shut up-
just throw
shut
your
up
line.
and fish.
Shut up and fish. Leave me alone." So we start fishing, and all of a sudden we hear this rustling behind us. Now, granted, we were in like tall grass that's maybe like 1.5 to 2 feet, definitely 2 to 3 feet high.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like stuff can walk through it and you won't know it's there. So we're fishing and this and that. We hear rustling behind us, like the grass is rustling. Like, and Keith is a big practical joker. I turned into looked at him and I go, "Knock it off. I'm not in the mood." He goes, "That's not me." And I'm like, "I told you, knock it off. I'm not in the mood." He's like, "I told you, that's not me." And I'm like, "Oh God. Okay, just maybe if we ignore it, whatever it is, it'll go away." We hear more wrestling. And I was like, "Dude, you're not like swear to God, you're not messing with me." He goes, "I'm not messing with you." He's like, "I'm getting a little nervous." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're getting nervous?" He goes, "Like I said, I don't have a gun on me." And I'm thinking, oh my God, if you're getting nervous, then I'm going to start like shitting cookies, essentially.
No.
And I'm like, "I have a pocket knife. That is it." And all of a sudden we both turn around and we see like 3 lines in the grass, like just kind of coming towards us. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, "Don't move." And I was like, "Why?"
Why?
"I won't, but why?" And then about 10 feet away, 3 heads pop up, and they're 3 badgers. And I'm
Okay.
just like, holy shit. Like, I'm going to have to fight off a family of badgers just because I wanted to go fishing.
Yeah.
And it's literally, there's one way back to the truck, and it's through them,
Through them.
or you jump in the water.
Right.
And he goes, "Don't move." So I'm like, "Okay, don't move." Like, I'm like, "Do I grab my pocket knife?" He goes, "Just be still." He goes, "If we be still, maybe they'll get bored with us and they'll leave." So I was like, "Okay, just be still. Breathe deep. Don't panic. Maybe they won't sense that I'm scared out of my mind."
They smell your fear.
Exactly. Hopefully they don't smell any fear or anything else. And then it seemed like it was an eternity, but it was probably like a minute. They're kind of sizing us up, checking us out. And then thank God they just
You
pop
wore the
back
right
down.
colors that day, so like
Yeah, we wore the right colors. They popped down and they turned around and left. And I was like, oh, thank God. It's like, thank you. Oh, man, that was way more than I wanted to deal with. So then I was like, "Dude, my heart is racing." And he goes, "I know, mine too, but we're okay." And I was like, "All right." And he's like, so then we go back to fishing.
Yep.
10 minutes later, a big thunderstorm rolls in.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? It got worse.
And it got worse.
And then the floodgates just opened. It started dumping on us. And again, we did not come prepared because we weren't planning on going out there. So
That's
we
right.
didn't check the weather. We didn't pack the right type of gear. And we were just getting soaked. And the only thing we have is for like cover are the seats we're sitting in. So we throw the seats over our head, and then lightning starts happening. And I'm like, great. We're in the middle of the lake with 2 giant metal rods pointing off
Pointing
the
at the
top of our
sky,
head.
yeah.
Like, just kill me now. Like, it's going to happen, right? Oh, but luckily, we didn't get struck by lightning.
Oh, wow.
It lasted for about 10 minutes, and then after it stopped raining, I told Keith, I go, "I want to go home. Let's go home." He goes, "Yeah, I think we should leave too." So that's my
Wow.
"and it got worse" story.
Wow, that
from
was
the great.
that kept
Keith.
going. I didn't think it
Yeah.
could get worse after you broke the fishing rod, but then
Yeah,
nearly mugged by badgers. and-
nearly had a
Struck by
close
lightning?
encounter by
Wow.
badgers, and
Mine's a little more pathetic, but
That's all right.
that's not every day I can go out and get mugged by badgers.
No, thank God that's never happened again.
Yeah. Well, I had a coworker give me this full subwoofer amp built in for my car,
Oh, nice.
and it was a nice one. It's a nice one. Mm-hmm. And so I said, thanks, man. So I get it, I have it, and I want to install it. So I invite another one of my coworkers out, and if they're ever listening to this, you know, I still have it. It's all good. So we go out and we set up, and I lived in an apartment in this time. So I got my old car, which is not my current car. This was sort of the slow descent of my old car. This is how it started. Was when I started to do home improvements.
Okay, no home improvements.
Yeah, I'm not a mechanic. So I set the subwoofer up and I watch a bunch of YouTube videos and I lay the cables so they go on opposite sides, and I have to get into the engine block. I have to get from the cabin into the engine, and I don't have anything to drill a hole through the wall that separates the engine from the cabin. So I see where the other cables are going, and I go in there, and so I push into the rubber. Maybe I cut the rubber, and I feed the tube through, and then we attach it to the surge protector or whatever on the battery.
Okay.
And we go and we set everything up, and the hardest part, the part we were most afraid of, is tying the electronics to the radio, analog radio, just about.
Okay.
Because it was a 2009 Mazda, and it didn't have any screens. It still had the little one line that had the roll across of what was playing at the time.
Yeah.
And I used and I still had a cassette player in it too. Cassette and then CD.
Yeah.
So my buddy that had experience working on cars and whatnot, you know, we really focused on that part, and that was fine. So we put everything in. I turn the key. It's dead. It's completely dead. Doesn't even turn over. And I'm trying to figure out why, because now it's like, oh no, what did we mess up? Because there was the install took, like, was it something to do with the radio? Did the radio control it? Because I knew nothing about, like, how
car audio,
the
car works,
car audio, and the turning over of the engine,
the electrical parts,
because it's an electrical charge that the key creates, and that turns the engine over. And so we spend the rest of the day trying to fix this free subwoofer install. That was a Sunday, and then so the next day, I'm like, okay, I need to get this evaluated. I need to get this evaluated. So I called out of work, and I went and I called Geico, be like, hey, I need some help. Can you tow my car?
Yeah.
I need to take it to a repair shop, and I need to figure out a repair shop that can do this.
Yeah.
And so I went, I was in Draper at the time, so I went across the freeway to Jake's Auto.
Okay.
And I think Jake's Auto is a pretty good place. I did the emergency roadside assistance. It was $300 to tow my car about a mile.
Really?
Yeah.
They actually charged you for it?
Yeah, I didn't get that. So I'm not sure exactly where in my contract it didn't include it, but
yeah, because I've had my car towed and I haven't been charged.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That was interesting. So that's, it's starting to get worse here.
Forget you, Geico.
Yeah, come on, Geico. Still have them though, but whatever. They tow it over to Jake's Auto. I get to Jake's Auto. Jake's Auto could have towed my car for $70. Because they would offer that,
Like, thanks, Jake's Auto.
Yeah, I know. And then they review the car. They review everything meticulously. Okay, I tell them like what I did, where I touched.
Yeah.
And I said somewhere in here.
Something went wrong.
Something went wrong. Car no work no more.
Yeah.
And then they get back to me, and they say, "Oh, we found it." And so, what had happened was when I had put the power cable from the subwoofer in the back underneath the floorboard and through and up into the cabin Ooh, timber. When I put it through the wall, separating the engine from the cabin, I cut the ignition cable.
How?
I don't know. It was just
It's
severed.
like you pushed a cable through a hole with other cables.
Yeah.
And it cut the ignition cord.
Somehow, I think I might have sliced it a little bit to get it in there.
Okay.
But so they's like, yeah, we'll fix it. And so then that was basically the whole evaluation was another $125.
Uh-huh.
So right now I'm sitting at $425 for a free subwoofer.
Yeah.
And 2 days of high stress of like, oh, what's happening with my car?
Yeah.
And they fix it by putting on some electrical tape.
That's it?
That was all they had to do. And so
Jeez.
I go through that whole ordeal, and I realize if I knew where to look, and I knew what I did,
you could have
I
done it
could have
yourself.
myself.
Oh, God. Hearing that reminds me of another story. This was about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was around Christmas time. Well, this was during COVID, like 2020 during Christmas. So obviously we weren't traveling because nobody was having anything open. So we were like, okay, we're staying home for Christmas. Let's, whatever. We noticed that on the Thanksgiving sale for Best Buy, they had this TV on sale.
Oh,
so we're
wow.
like, hey, like, this is a really good deal. Let's get this TV. I mean, it'll kind of be like our present to ourselves and all that stuff. I mean, it was a big TV. It's like 85 inches or something.
Oh,
It's a big TV. So we're like, let's get this TV. We're going to save like $700 on this TV. Like, let's do it. So we buy this new TV. I pick it up. I drive it home. And Jamin's going to help me install it. So we take off the old TV. We have to buy all new hanging brackets, obviously, because it's bigger. And the ones we have could only go up to this size TV. And this size TV was bigger, so you had to buy another bracket. So it's like, okay, so our $700, now we just lost another $120 because the bracket was special, air quotes, to hold a TV
yep.
like 75 inches plus. So that was $120. So I was like, okay. I mean, well, we're still saving a little bit of money. We hook it up. We plug everything in. No signal to the TV. I'm thinking, what in the crap is going on? What do you mean there's no signal to the TV? And we had it plugged through our receiver. And the way our receiver works is you take one HDMI cable from the TV and plug it into the receiver. Then you take all your other devices that you have that you want to run through your stereo and your speakers. You plug that into the receiver, not into the TV. It's a pretty slick setup. So one one cable to the TV, and that's it. All the other ones go into the receiver. So then the receiver will, like, you have to just change auxiliaries on the receiver, not the TV. 'Cause you remember the old days where you had to like change the auxiliary on the TV to get to like your DVD player,
Your PlayStation,
whatever. And you only had like 3 or 4.
Yes.
So you're like, okay, I got 5 devices. Which ones do I want to plug in?
Right.
So it's kind of that way now, but on the receiver.
Okay.
So we got everything plugged in. I was like, dang it, maybe we need a new HDMI cable. So we go to the store, buy a new HDMI cable. Still doesn't work. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? Well, what happened is when we were pulling it out, one of us, I don't know if it was Jamin or I, we pulled it out a little too far and turned it, and it bent the HDMI port. So now the receiver doesn't work. So I'm thinking, oh, crap. The receiver is one of the more expensive parts of your stereo.
Right.
And I was like, damn it. I don't really want to buy a new receiver, but like our brand new TV is not going to work unless I buy a new receiver. So I'm like, okay. So then I've got to go look for a new receiver. And obviously that's like $500. So I'm like, we're just eating up all our savings at this point from the TV. So Shanna and I go to Best Buy and buy the receiver.
Like, welcome back.
Oddly enough, that's when we got Thor.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's a
because
little
we were on our way back from Best Buy.
silver lining there.
And we were like, oh, let's go get some Mexican food.
Yeah.
And as we pull in, they were selling puppies at the corner. I was like, hey, look, puppies.
Puppies.
And Shanna's like, oh, we just can't. And I was like, okay. Then as we were leaving, I was like, hey, let's go see if the puppies are still there. And if they are, let's pet some. And they were. And then we ended up taking one home.
Nice. Okay.
That's how we got Thor.
Okay.
But back to the original story. So then we buy a new receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Now it works, but then the subwoofer goes out.
Oh.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? So then I had to go. This time I just went to Costco. Because Costco, I like the audio brand Klipsch.
Yep.
They've got really good stuff. They had Klipsch subwoofers at Costco. Luckily, they were on sale. They're like $100.
Nice.
And it's the same one we have here in the studio.
Nice.
So I was like, that's a really nice one. So it's like the other one I had was 8 inches. This one's 12. So it's like, dang, all right, upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, buying a new TV led to a new HDMI cable, a new receiver, then a new subwoofer, and subsequently a new puppy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. I don't necessarily say then it got worse, but it was like then this happened.
Yep.
Because everything we got
fix
was
one thing and
yeah.
then you have to fix another thing.
Exactly,
because another thing.
This one, everything we got was an upgrade.
Yes.
So I mean, technically, it didn't get worse; it just got more expensive.
Yeah.
So, but let us know if you guys have any, and then this happened. It's like when you give a mouse a cookie, and then this.
Yes.
See, let us know if you have any kind of those stories, Reader's Digest version, or email us and tell us the whole story.
Yeah. We'd be happy to share it.
Yeah, we'd happy to share it for you. But moving on to our final segment of the show, our fight scene. This week, or last week, we had Daredevil versus Nightwing. It's still another Marvel versus DC. And it's like effectively kind of very similar to last week's, but obviously different characters. Now we're having Batman versus Iron Man.
Wow. The man's fight.
The man's fight, and it's basically the same people's fight.
Yes, they're basically the same.
We have the playboy billionaire philanthropist / mercenary or vigilante.
They're both the same. They both have the same title.
Exactly, and they both have man in their title. One's a bat, one's iron. So, all right, we've got Batman from Gotham City, or not Bruce Wayne, Batman.
Right.
Not Bruce Wayne, Batman.
Has to be the Batman.
Has to be Batman versus Iron Man from New York.
From New York City.
From New York City. So
from
it's
Marvel City.
Exactly. It's kind of like the same thing as last week. Daredevil was from New York. Nightwing was from Gotham. So, all right. Round one. They're in Gotham City.
Okay.
Who do you think you got, Iron Man or Batman?
Well, how much prep time does Batman have?
The same amount of prep time as Iron Man.
0. I don't know. I think I don't know. I think Batman is overall better, but I don't know if he can beat Iron Man without preparing. Right?
I think because he's in Gotham, he already has.
Yeah, he has everything.
He has his strategies.
He has his
laid
bat
out.
magnet, because you beat Iron Man with a big magnet, essentially.
Yeah. Well, sort of. I mean, it's not necessarily iron.
I know.
He's got those nano.
It's not magnetic anymore.
No.
The first one was magnetic.
First one was magnetic, and you could definitely beat him with just a giant magnet.
Yes.
But now I don't think he's magnetic
now it's
anymore.
like fifth version Iron Man suit.
Iron Man Mark 500.
Mark 500.
Yeah. In Gotham City, I've got Batman.
Yeah. Okay.
Just for the fact that he knows the layout really well. He probably has contingency plans on every street corner.
Yeah,
because
he has a gun within 5 feet of him. Even though he doesn't use guns.
Yeah, he's the master strategist.
Yes.
I mean, they're both intelligent levels, like genius.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that he could outsmart Iron Man. I think they just both have that level to where they just kind of like stalemate each other, for lack of a better term.
Maximum firepower versus League of Shadows, really.
Kind of, yeah. And I definitely think just because it's in Gotham City, you do have to kind of give home field advantage for Batman.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, like I said, I mean, he could have contingency plans on every block.
Okay.
So the fact that it's on Batman's home turf, I'll give the edge to Batman.
Okay.
So
So
but
Batman.
on the flip side, in New York City, he doesn't have those contingency plans.
Right.
I would give it to
giving
Iron
the
Man.
advantage to. Okay.
I would give it to Iron Man. Plus, like the biggest argument I have for Batman versus Iron Man is everything that Batman has, like the Batmobile, the Batwing,
Right.
the Bat Submarine, like all those extra vehicles, Iron Man just has on him constantly all the time.
Right. He's his walking vehicle.
Exactly. Like he can fly, he can go underwater, he can like walk, I mean whatever. He doesn't need those extra things to like get into to work.
And Iron Man also has the same contingency plans.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the Iron Man movies, like every time his suit upgrades, it's because he has to overcome something.
Yeah.
Like his Mark II was to overcome Ironmonger.
Yep.
And it's like he knew, because Ironmonger was a step behind him, he knew exactly what the weaknesses were in the previous suit.
Exactly.
So I think that kind of cancels out Batman's contingency plan. So I'm definitely giving round 2 to Iron Man.
Yeah, I am too. And round 3, when they're just in the cage, I'm giving it to Iron Man also.
Now that I see that, yeah, I mean it's nanobot technology versus ceramite technology. It's like both of those can take a punch, but then it's like his fists are always metal.
Yeah.
Batman's fists might have bladed gauntlets, but you can't really cut through.
Exactly. Like Batman's definitely a better fighter than Iron Man,
But
I don't see him breaking his armor.
right.
You know what I mean? Especially if it's just like
Without something that
yeah.
you can't have in
Now,
the
if I
cage.
said Bruce Wayne versus Tony Stark, Bruce Wayne's going to
Wayne,
kill him.
Yeah.
Because he's effectively Batman without the suit.
Yeah.
So if we said those two fighting, Bruce Wayne's definitely winning. Because Tony Stark really can't fight without the suit. He can a little bit, but not to
Not
nearly
to
the
the
extent that
No,
Bruce Wayne
he's
can.
a tech guy.
Yeah. So I definitely got.
You know, that's shifted my perspective in that information. So I'm also going to give it to Iron Man. Now that I've thought about it a little bit more.
Because Batman definitely is the better fighter, but it's like, how can you break through his armor?
Yeah, no lasers. No batarangs.
I mean, Thanos kind of started breaking through his armor, but that's after he hit
Thanos
Tony
is
Stark
an
with a
otherworldly
planet.
being.
He hit Tony Stark with like a planet.
Yeah.
You know? So that's when his armor started to fail.
Yeah.
Not from like a punch from a human.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't see any human. And as much as Batman's
more
is
Batman
cool,
than human.
he's still just a human. He's still got mortal strength, mortal speed. Granted, it's at a higher level than the average human, but he still doesn't have any quote unquote superpowers.
Right.
Like Tony Stark's Iron Man suit definitely puts him in that superhero category.
Right.
His suit is superhuman.
Right.
Gives him superhuman strength and a durability. So for all you Batman lovers out there, I think people are drawn to Batman because they think with as much time and training, I could be Batman.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or with enough money, I could be Batman. Like,
Right.
I'm surprised we don't have a Batman or Iron
need
Man
some
yet
Batmans.
with Elon Musk around.
Yeah. Well,
So he needs to become Batman.
I think he is the Tony Stark side of Iron Man.
Absolutely.
But he's probably working on something behind the scenes to give him the Iron Man side of Iron Man.
God, I wish that would happen.
That's going to be cool.
Come on, Elon, make
We
an
need
Iron
some
Man
mech
suit.
suits. Can we have some mech suits?
Yeah. Do you know how much
Release
that would
the-
change the game of warfare?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Holy cow. If they put
They're
these
already
like...
experimenting with exoskeletons.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you imagine soldiers with exoskeleton suits on? Like
Yeah.
Master Chief?
Yep, Master Chief.
So, holy cow. But yeah, I got Iron Man winning, and it has nothing to do with Marvel versus DC. Just
Nah.
these two characters. I don't know how Batman could be.
I don't think it would be a a one-sided fight, though. I think Batman would definitely like
He'd hold his own.
he'd
a
hold
little
his
bit.
own for a while, but then it's like you can't.
There's only so much you can endure as a human.
Yes.
That's when everybody's all like, Superman versus Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on. Like, yes, I could see like,
But the kryptonite gun.
Yeah, Batman has a contingency plan for Superman. Yeah, with kryptonite, but Superman just has to sneeze hard enough, and he could destroy Batman.
Tear someone's skin off.
Yeah,
Essentially.
exactly. He could knock him down to molecules. They've actually done a story about if Superman punched at full speed,
Oh wow.
it would destroy the fabric of the universe.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, and a human's going to beat him. Sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I got nothing against Batman. I think he's a cool character. He definitely has some of the best villains out of any franchise ever. Batman definitely has the best villains.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Joker. Incredible
Joker, Penguin,
Penguin.
the Scarecrow,
Bane.
Bane,
Man, there's
Two-Face.
So many good villains.
Two-Face. Yeah, so many good villains. The rest of the superhero characters, not so much. So, but Batman definitely hasn't beaten the villain department. But yeah, I got Iron Man. Sounds like you got Iron Man.
Yep.
Let us know who you guys got, if you got Iron Man or you got Batman. But whatever. I think Iron Man's gonna beat him unless somebody can present a very good argument on why he can't beat him.
Yep.
Until then,
My mind has already changed once. It can change again.
exactly. Exactly. But all right, moving on to our final thoughts. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave somebody for the week or the weekend?
Make the most of every day.
Yeah.
It's kind of going along, make an impact. Like I said, my grandma was in town. And she's 91, and she's aged, and it was kind of eye-opening because I grew up with her close.
Yeah.
So I was always able to see her, and as a kid, you love your grandparents, and like they're superheroes.
Yeah.
In their own way. And now it's like as an adult, it's like, wow, yeah, she's
gotten
struggling
old.
to do things, and
Yeah.
not everything is functioning anymore, and it's like, all right, and she's very positive. She knows, like, that's kind of who my shout out is today as well. Is Alice Heine. But yeah, make the most of every day. That was what she told me this past week. Is what she's been doing is like, if that's doing studying your scriptures, whatever you believe in, study that. Prepare yourself, because it's important, and you never really know how much time you have.
Yeah.
But some people have a lot, some people don't.
Yeah. No, I agree. Man, we've forgotten to do the shout outs recently. I'm glad you brought that
Kind
up.
of just ran out of people to shout out.
No, not necessarily. I forgot to talk about it. Yeah, I'd like to shout out my dad.
Okay.
He I had to bother him for a ride to and from the dojo on Monday because I had some unexpected car repairs on Monday. And then it got worse story.
Oh.
I went to go get an oil change Monday morning.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, let me do this complimentary inspection so I can find things to tell you to repair. So I went to go get my oil changed, and all of a sudden the lady at the desk is like, I need to talk to you about some things. And I'm like, oh God, this can't be good. Yeah, needless to say, like, $150 oil change turned into like a $3,000 car repair bill.
What?
And I was all like, okay, what do I have to have done now? Because I wasn't ready to for $3,000.
All of it needs to be done now.
No, they gave me the honest truth. I mean, granted, I went to a place where my father-in-law works, Point S.
Okay.
Shout out to Point S.
Point S.
They do a great job. They did a great job. And I was talking to the manager, the owner guy, and I was like, okay, his name's Steve. I was like, okay, Steve. I go, what is immediate and what can be done later? And apparently I had a leak in my oil pan, so they wanted to replace the oil pan instead of it was a small leak. There was an unknown leak on the top of my engine, and they didn't know what was causing that, so they have to do a diagnostic that was like $300 and then repair it. I needed to replace my front struts and my transfer case was leaking. They're like, well, you got to replace your struts like that. You just like, we wouldn't feel good with you driving out of here with it like that. I was like, okay. And they're like, you could get away with your transfer case, but there's no telling when it's going to like give out and then you're going to need to replace it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I would do that because all you need right now is just a seal. And I was like, okay. And I needed new windshield wipers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'll do the windshield wipers, I'll do the struts, and I'll do the transfer case. And that was still like $2,000. And I was like, oh, of course it was. So they're like, we need to have your car here today. And I was like, okay. So I was just like, well, my dad's retired. I was like, hey, can you come give me a ride to the dojo? He's like, okay, we'll be there in 10 minutes. And he came and picked me up. I was like, do you mind picking me up and taking me back to my car? If not, like, I can get an Uber. He's like, no, I'll come pick you up. So he came and picked me up Monday night. So shout out to old man Diaz. So
Old man Diaz.
Yeah.
Got to beat him. I think he's a good guy.
yeah, he is. He's, again, same thing, getting old. And you're just like, dang, hate to see my parents get old. So, but yeah, like you said, make an impact in somebody's day. Go out of your way to make somebody's day. Be excited to see somebody. Be like the dog for the day. You know, like you see somebody, be like, man, it's really good to see you. And be genuine about it. Don't be fake. Don't be phony. If you're not excited to see somebody, don't talk to them.
Tell him that.
Be like, hey, I'm not really excited to see you.
Don't do that.
No, but yeah, be excited to see people. Be excited to hang out with them, and try to put a smile on someone's face today.
Yep.
So
Very good. Well
yeah,
said.
make an impact. Oh, the Eagles won last night too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So go Birds.
What's the record now?
8-2.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
Are they still leading the East? NFC East?
They were winning. They were leading the NFC East yesterday, as of last night,
Okay.
and then they were playing the team that was a half game behind them in the Commanders.
Ah.
So now this really kind of separated them. So
Okay,
it
now
was
they've
one of
got
the
a little breathing room.
one of the highlight games for the week. It was really an ugly game for a long time. Yeah, they were down 10-3
Ooh.
at halftime, or 10-6. I think it was 10-6.
Mm-hmm.
Our field goal kicker missed like three chances,
Fired.
two field goals and an extra point, and he's usually
Yeah, he's usually locked in.
locked in kicker. But man, we left like 7 points on the board. The refs were terrible,
They're making calls against you.
and just missing calls.
Really?
Oh yeah. There were 2 blatant face mask calls that should have been gone our way. They didn't call them. There was one phantom holding penalty or pass interference penalty on Cooper DeJean. And they replayed it, and they're like,
And the broadcaster.
the broadcast people are like,
like,
oh, I
I'm
think he held him
confused.
at the top of the route.
I'm confused.
And then they showed a different angle, and they're like,
No, it wasn't there.
no, he didn't touch him. And then they asked the referee, they're like, what are they calling? And the referee's like, the only thing I can think of is the angle the referee was. It looked like holding, but the defender never touched the offensive player. They're like, that was just a bad call.
No challenge?
You can't challenge penalties like that.
Oh.
Yeah. So they missed a couple of big calls. And then they had just some stupid calls. But the referees have been like really bad all year long.
They're trying to, make the Birds hurt or something.
Yeah.
They're not Birds fans.
No. Just all around, did you hear about the Utah BYU game?
No.
Utah was up like 21-10 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Or 21-10 at halftime. This was last week, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to bed. The Utes, they're playing really well, and BYU's not playing really well. So I was like, you know what? They got this locked in. I'm going to go to bed. I wake up, and my social media is blowing up about BYU won by 1 point.
What?
On a last-second field goal. So any of you BYU fans out there, like, you can gloat in your stolen victory, but
Wow.
there was 2 or 3 big calls at the end of the game that changed the face of the game.
Wow.
Yes, there was a play where it was all. I think it was going to be a safety, or it was a play where it just went dead and it was like 4th down or something. The play had started and then Kalani called a timeout. The play ran all the way through. Then they whistled it dead because he called timeout like 2 seconds into the play going.
Into the play.
Yeah, so then they like, oh, the play's got to start over.
Unbelievable.
Then there was a pass interference call on a 4th down where they show the replay and the dude's not holding him. Like he kind of is like touching him, but they called a pass interference play. And if they didn't call that, that was a 4th down. It was an incomplete pass. Game's over. Before that, okay, backtrack to when Utah had the ball.
Okay.
Utah was going down the field, and they were controlling the clock. Well, all of a sudden, they run, and they get a 1st down and stay in bounds, and then they could have kneeled down and run the clock out. They called a holding penalty. Took the ball back 10 yards. Utah doesn't get the 1st down, and then they have to punt it. And then that's when BYU goes down, and they make a last-second field goal to win by 21, or win by 1, 22 to 21.
21.
So Utah doesn't score in the second half. Now, granted, if Utah scores anything in the second half, we're not having this discussion.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
there's plenty of ways that they could have still won that they didn't take advantage of.
That
but
makes sense, yeah.
when you have, like, just bad calls like that,
So
you're just like...
the calls this year have just, like, the quality of
The quality of reffing has been terrible. And the worst part about it is you can't complain about it.
Really?
No, like Coach Witt and the athletic director both kind of went on a rant about the refs.
Yeah.
The Big 12 fined them both $40,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Coach Witt was pissed. He chucked a chair during the press conference.
Yeah.
He was very upset.
Wow. That's like...
Yeah, so instead of the Big 12 being like, hey, you know, like, we're sorry, we'll look into this, blah, 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 they just instantly took the referee's side and was like, we hold up integrity, blah, blah, blah. And they fined them both $40,000. Same thing goes with the NFL. If you talk bad about the referees in the NFL, you get fined.
When did that happen?
It's been like that for a while. So the referees have like no checks and balances with them. They could make the worst egregious call ever and nothing happens to them. Probably the worst one was a couple of years ago when the Saints were really good. And it was when the Rams won the Super Bowl, I think. The Saints were playing the Rams, I believe, in the NFC Conference Championship game. There was the most obvious pass interference call ever. Like, I'm talking like there's not even a question on how this can't be called. Nothing was called. Yeah, and the Saints ended up winning the game and going to the Super Bowl. It was really bad. Really, really bad. But good old referees.
If you're still with us, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for listening to my rant about the referees. But yeah, the Eagles won. Go Eagles. Nobody's still giving him any credit, but that's okay. Saquon's the man.
That's right.
Thanks, Giants, because they let him go. It was great.
Yep.
Thank you, Giants. We appreciate you giving us Saquon Barkley. He's the man. I love that guy. But tune in to us with us next time. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving in our realm of the podcast, and we'll start talking about Thanksgiving stuff.
It's a good time.
Absolutely. It's my favorite time of the year. But thanks for kicking it with us today, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Kick it with us next week. Bye.
Want to support the show? Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe for more episodes, and snag your favorite gear from the True Motion merch shop.